Okay, welcome everyone to Investors Corner. I'm Athena Paquette-Cormier, your host, and tonight I'm here with Mike Weatherford, a realtor in Knoxville, Maryville, East Tennessee area, who will share the opportunities for rent to retire investors as well as pure cash flow investors. Mike and I have known each other for about 15 years, I think, maybe it's been longer, and has been on this podcast before when he was just starting to formulate a plan and had just started implementing the plan, and now here we are. How long have you lived in Knoxville,
Uh,
Maryville?
been 3 years now.
Okay. So, if Tennessee were a city, California would be one of its biggest developers. And why do I say that? Nearly 20,000 Californians moved to Tennessee last year alone. Since the pandemic, well over 90,000 Californians have made the move, bringing their families, businesses, their home equity, and investment capital with them. From 2023 to 2024, California was Tennessee's largest source of new residents, sending out about 19,700 people to the volunteer state. That was more than Florida or Texas. So
Mm.
those of you who believe that everyone moved to Florida, no, they didn't. So a reasonable estimate, now this is not official like census data, but if we were to, the reasonable estimate used is that by relocation analysts is that 10 to 15% of California to Tennessee movers settled in the Knoxville MSA. So if we
Wow.
use that range, that means that suggests that roughly 10 to 15,000 Californians may have moved to Knoxville MSA between 2020 and 2024 combined. So this is an estimate. It's not official census count, but it's very accurate as far as the percentages. So Knoxville isn't just getting new residents from California, it's importing California equity, right? If
Right.
10,000 Californians moved to Knoxville area since the pandemic and each arrived with even say 400,000 in home equity, that's roughly $4 billion in housing wealth flowing into East Tennessee. So we wish Mike could get us the prices from 2018. And he is a miracle worker, but maybe not that big of a miracle worker.
No.
So welcome, Mike. Thanks for joining us here for Investors Corner. This is super fun. You've been here before, and just in a matter of 3 years, life has really changed, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
can you
Last,
share us a little bit with us about kind of like first of all, how did you even decide on Knoxville? Like what was the first little sparks that got that going and kind of your journey to where you are today?
yeah. I think last time I was on here, we were talking about um, kind of the exact thing. I got young kids. I knew California was doing California things, and for me and my family, I knew I wanted to get there somewhere else. Um, for a number of reasons. So we started looking around, visited some places, went to a number of different states, and spent 5 to 7 days there, and kind of imagined if we could live there. I mean, we went to Boise, Idaho, Colorado Springs, Colorado, Prescott, Arizona, spots in Utah. So we throughout the whole West went to all the hot spots that a lot of people were moving to, and none of them really just felt like it was it. We went to them like, yeah, it's pretty, it's nice, but I don't know if we're gonna leave California. We lived there our whole life, and I don't think we're leaving for this. But I went down the Knoxville rabbit hole, and I was like, wait a second. I was like, this place checks all those boxes, as far as affordability, low property taxes, low or no state income tax, um, good climate, close to mountains, close to multiple major cities and destinations on the map. So we came and visited, and we got that feeling when we came. We said, yes, I think this is it.
Right. And at first, I remember we were like, okay, buy a rental, rent it out, just like your mother-in-law, I think, did. It's just like, I know in the near future I want to do this, but I'm not quite ready. So you buy a rental property, you rent it out, and then but it's a property that you yourself would want to live in. So you're not looking for the 1% rule. You're looking for the best neighborhood that you think that you and your family would live in, right? So, um, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was like a 5-year plan, if I remember right.
Yeah. Our plans got a little thrown off because we ended up adopting a son through the middle of it and got held up with the whole process longer than we initially planned on because we had to stay in California until that all got squared away.
Mm.
So yeah, it ended up being a little longer than we intended, but ultimately within 3 years after we bought our rental and we're renting it out, we ended up making the move.
Mm. Yeah. And what made you speed up your plan like that?
Um,
It became maybe one day to like, yeah, we're moving, and it
yeah.
happened fast.
I mean, not to get too deep in the weeds, but I was in the medical field and they had something that they required of employees during the 2021 year. I'm sure a lot of you can put that together. And
Uh-huh.
those that didn't want to get it got fired. So I was one of them. And
Oh, wow.
that's literally what kind of, all right, it's time
Yeah.
now.
Right. Right. Amazing. So tell us a little bit about Knoxville and like what kind of city is it? And then kind of what Maryville is or what.
Yeah. So Knoxville it's a big footprint on the map. So if you look at it, you have downtown, but outside of it, you have a lot of I don't even want to use the word suburb. They're like cities within Knoxville,
Hmm.
but they're still Knoxville area. It's still a Knoxville address. So I mean, I don't know the square mileage that it takes up, but on the map, I mean, it covers a big footprint. So
Hmm.
areas it'll say Powell, for example, on the map, but that's still considered Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay. And is
Um,
that its own city or like those are just mini areas, right? Within?
yeah, there are many areas of
Okay.
so it's a big area, and a lot of the areas are very unique in their own way. So there's a lot of different types of mini areas within Knoxville. So it just depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking to be very close to amenities and in a track home sort of thing, or do you want a little more land, a little more out there? There's really all of that. But again, I mean, the more land you have usually comes with being a little further from things. Um, and those houses
Right.
typically are a little cheaper because they're just
Mm.
not as high in demand.
Mm. Because they're in more of a rural part of
Right,
the city or neighborhood. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So tell me, like, are condos big in the downtown? What types of properties, if you were going to live there, are there condos, big homes, small homes? Like, what's the makeup of the choices there?
So I mean, downtown, yeah, it's got more apartments, condos, townhouse type things. And they're not that cheap because a lot of them are popping up. A lot of them are fairly, I don't want to say brand new, but they're not old and run down. So the rents there can go, kind of high for the area.
Mm-hmm.
The further you get from downtown, it usually mellows out some. But there isn't a whole lot of apartments and condos outside of like the downtown city areas.
Mm.
Because the more away from those you get, the more rural, the more land, and just there isn't a demand for those things in those areas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what's the typical or maybe the price range for Knoxville, for downtown condos in Knoxville?
Downtown condo, I mean, I'm just going off the top of my head, but I see them in the threes, and this is just a basic little 1 to 2 bedroom, uh,
Mm-hmm.
1,000 square foot sort of thing.
Okay. And then how much would something like that rent for? Like, let's say I wanted to buy something like that, park it so I can move there later. What would on average, what do you rent those for?
I would say anywhere in the 2,000 range, 2,000
Okay.
2,200 range.
So depending on your down payment, you might be a little upside down,
Right. Yeah.
right?
The good thing the one thing that you have going for you out here is the property taxes being lower. That's going to offset some of your possible lack of down payment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's what makes it a little more investor friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I know that was our situation with our rental. I only came in with, I think 30% down, and I was
Mm-hmm.
still cash flowing pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
And it did not meet the 1% rule at all. But
Right.
the property taxes being so dirt cheap, it helped with that.
So tell me more about the property taxes. How do they calculate, you know, what's the like here we use 1.25%, right? In Texas, it's 3 or 3.5, whatever.
Yeah.
So how do they calculate the tax there?
Yeah, every area has a slightly different. The counties have a specific formula. I know in Blount County, where we live, it's 25% of the assessed value, and then they multiply it by I think it's like 1.5 or something like that.
Okay, so let's just pretend it's a $400,000 home. Are you saying that they're using 25% of that, so 100,000,
Yeah,
and
so
they're taxing you on that?
yeah, and then they would tax you 1.5 or 1.6, somewhere in that range.
Okay, so let's say that's 1,600
Yeah,
compared to like here for you would get taxed on the whole 400,000, right? So that would be 1.25%, so 6 grand, right? So
yeah,
that's a huge gap.
right. Yeah, and that number sounds about right. I'd say 1,600 would probably be about where you'd be for a $400,000 house.
Hmm. And then, so that's the county. Do you have like some counties, some other states have like the school tax, the fireman, like all the little itty bitty add-ons for all the
So
different?
if you live within city limits, so again, like within the downtown area and not, not far out from it, if it's considered within the city limits, you also pay a city tax, which typically is about the same as the county tax.
And
Uh,
is it on the same 1/4%?
yes.
Okay.
Um,
Still
first,
half of what it is here.
yeah, yeah. But here, if you're in the county, you only pay the county tax, and you can. It's pretty unique. You can do a subscription. This is what we do. We live in the county. We pay a yearly subscription to a volunteer fire service. So if you had a fire, the city fire department isn't going to come, and if they do, they're going to charge you an arm and a leg. But if you pay this monthly or this yearly like $200 subscription, you have access to the county volunteer fire service.
And is that a pretty strong group? Like,
Good things.
would you trust these people?
I do. I've read and heard good things about it. Thank God I've never had to use it, but
Yeah.
um, yeah. So there's pros and cons to it, right? So I mean, you're not within the city, so you don't have quite the services that the city would be taxing you on, but you're not paying those taxes. So pick your point.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. So, so if you were a retiree, let's say you're 50 something and you're getting ready to retire, what are the most popular neighborhoods? Like, let's say you're looking for golf or maybe to be by the water. I don't know if you guys have properties on the water, but
Oh yeah.
maybe that lifestyle. Can you describe the different neighborhoods and what they look like and kind of price points for that?
Yeah. So if you're looking at something on the water, because here's the thing with out here, there's definitely affordable stuff. Something, I think I wrote some stuff down. The average sale price in Knoxville right now is like 355K. So you can find stuff for very cheap. That's the average.
And that's way lower than the national average and certainly way lower than California, obviously.
Right. But also, you could find a beautiful, nice house on a lake that's going to cost 1.5 million that is only 2,200 square feet on under a half acre.
Mm.
So it goes from there's a big gap between the average sale price and the real nice. The real nice is still not cheap here. Cheap
Mm-hmm.
would be out west, obviously, but there's still a good price tag on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so maybe a million, million and a half to be on the water. And then what about golf course communities?
Yeah, there's not as many as you see out in California. There are some, and it's strange. A lot of the I've seen a handful of golf course communities here that the golf course is no longer there, but the community that was built around it is still there and still paying the extreme HOAs to
Huh.
on the golf course. I know a number of them like that. It's kind of strange.
Yeah,
Oh, what led to that?
that is interesting. You should find out what the heck's going on with that. So it's
Yeah,
just a lot of times those communities, they have like a company that's managing the golf part and the owners have access to it, but that like they're separate, right? Or
yeah,
they're so sometimes I have a friend who lives in Northern California that they ran her golf course into the ground and the owners had to chip in to revive it, but they first had to find a golf course management company that could turn it around, right? And then they were willing to pay. So I wonder if, something like that might have happened in the past. But I
yeah,
guess the lifestyle is still good, right? You're in the green pastures or whatever. I
yeah.
don't know.
Communities, but a lot of the homes in there struggle to sell because there's not the amenities that are worth paying the high HOAs for.
Mm,
So there'll be like a $300 HOA, which never changed from when there was a golf course.
mm.
A lot of houses sit there.
Yeah, they should vote to reduce that, get rid
Yeah.
of it.
And don't get me wrong, there are golf courses here.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird how there's quite a few of those, like I'm mentioning, that I see it happening. I don't know why.
Hmm. Maybe oversupply. I don't know.
Could be.
Um, so of the golf course communities, what neighborhoods are they in and what price points does that bring?
It just depends where it is. I mean, so if we're talking about Knoxville specifically, it's pretty much broken up into four different sections. Yeah,
Okay.
north, south, east, and west. West Knoxville is the most expensive, the most amenities, um, highest taxes, best schools, highest demand, especially when you're talking about people that move from out of state. A lot of them move to West Knoxville. That's been a hotbed. That's where my
Mm.
rental was, because we ended up selling the rental. I don't know if I even told you that, but
No, you didn't.
um,
Boo.
um, where was I? Yeah, so that's been a major destination for a lot of families that move from out west. North Knoxville, it's unique in its own way. It's just a little older. East is older and just not as populated, and South is kind of older as well. Older and on the come up though. I'd say South is the second.
South is reviving itself versus the
Yeah.
other two are still in their old style.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I believe
Okay.
good opportunity actually, just because the price points are in a good place still, and I feel it's on the come up.
Yeah. So it's about, well, I don't want to say about to surge, but that's where you have potential in appreciation, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yep.
Yeah. So what's the kind of the price points and what's a typical home down there in the South?
South Knox, you could, I mean, shoot, there's such a huge range. But if you're
Mm,
looking for an investment property, a rental, something that you could, a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, under 2,000 square foot sort of house,
hmm.
under 350,
Okay. And what kind of rents would you get on that?
probably in the 22 to 2,300 range.
Okay.
So
So more favorable than a condo, because
yeah,
also with the condo, you're going to have HOA dues and stuff, right? So,
yeah, I would for sure say it would be more favorable. Yes, because
hmm.
price, but you'll be able to get more rent
Right.
and not have that HOA.
Hmm. Right, right. So, are there any like duplexes? And I just want to remind guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. And I'll monitor that. Um, so are there duplexes, fourplexes? Is there that kind of product there?
Not so much. If there is, they're scarce. There's
Okay.
condos and townhouses, but as far as duplexes and fourplexes, not so much.
Okay.
I've seen them, but they're just not common.
Mm. And are they popular, or what kind of price point could you expect on that?
They are, I don't want to say they're popular really because I think a lot of people feel for a similar price point, they can get more for their money.
Okay.
Maybe the condo or townhouse might be fairly cheaper, but it's not a huge difference. So if it's maybe a first time home buyer that's just barely scraping into buying a home, that might be the case. But
So
um,
you don't see a whole lot of first-time buyers that want a house hack and say live on one side and rent out the other side. That's not like a popular thing for home buyers to want.
no, I would say that's probably investors are probably doing that. Investors
Hmm.
um, either living in one, renting the other, or just buying multiple.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I'd be interested to see like what is the price point and what are the rents on the duplexes there, because if there's not that many, I'm wondering if investors just scoop them up because there's
I
not
would
that
yeah,
many.
I would say that's probably going on.
Okay. And then how about the multifamily market? Do you see a lot of apartment buildings trading or small apartment buildings?
Again, mainly in like the Knoxville downtown sort of area, you're going to see a lot more of that. Um, and just to set the record straight, it's Maryville. That's how you got to
Oh, sorry, Marrow. I'll have to practice that one.
come around here saying Maryville. They're going to know you're not around here.
Right. And they're going to be like, your California money needs to get out of here.
Yeah, yeah,
People who were moving to Texas for a while, they were advising each other to either rent a truck or rent a car or switch their plates before they got there because there was so much animosity towards Californians selling and like, bringing their big money and of course pushing prices up and all that. So
yeah. It's a
you
thing.
finding that kind of, I don't want to, animosity is a little strong, but are you finding that kind of feeling there?
Yes, yes. Let me answer that in a sec. I said Maryville, and I just want to point out that you're not going to see as many apartments in Maryville as you will in Knoxville, just because it's further from the city. But with that being said, yes, that it is a thing. Of course, and you can't blame them at the same time because if I put myself in a native's shoes, especially someone that's my age or younger, that hasn't had the opportunity to really establish himself and like buy and sell a couple homes and stack away a good chunk of money. It's really difficult to buy a house with the wages out here.
Mm,
The wages have not kept up with the housing prices.
mm.
Um, and interestingly enough, Knoxville had the highest percentage in housing cost increases since COVID in the nation.
Really?
Yes, Knoxville is number one, 88% increase in housing prices.
Oh my God.
And what's crazy about it is they're not even in the top 10 as far as population growth since COVID.
Hmm.
So it just goes to show 2021, 22, and 23, houses were going pending within a day. Ask like tens of thousands of dollars over asking price. There's just extreme demand and competition. And
Which probably shocked the locals, right?
yes,
It's just shocking because they're like, well, what happened,
it absolutely decimated the housing values for them. So yeah, if you're a local here making $20 an hour and homeownership was once something that was in your cards, it kind of isn't at the moment.
Yeah. Wow.
So
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. So someone's asking if the market shifted in the last few years. So that's part of it, right? They call it the COVID push. It just, people from Chicago went to Indianapolis, people from Toronto went to Ottawa, Canada, like all the big city people could now work from home. So they went to a cheaper area or a nicer area or whatever. And so you probably saw that. So I'm assuming people came from Nashville over to, besides the Californians, but there was probably that part too. The close people that wanted more affordable rent or housing probably also came from areas around you that were more expensive, right?
Yeah, there's that, but a lot. I mean, like you mentioned, a lot of out of state money
Yeah,
to be in the position to be able to, oh, $400,000 house, I'll offer 475 and it's mine.
right. Yeah. And then the next guy's even more and even more. And yeah, right.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's see. So here we have, as a retiree, I might be interested to be near Knoxville, but don't need to be in it, possibly even a townhouse, so I can go away for long periods of time and not worry about it. That's an excellent point. What do you suggest and what kind of price range? This would not be permanent, actually, place to stay for a few years until the kids settle down. So
Yeah.
let's say a 5 year, 7 year window. What would you suggest?
Well, it depends what you want to be by. Do you want to be close enough to Knoxville, like within 20 minutes? Do you want to be an hour out from it? Or I live in Maryville, which is 20 minutes south of Knoxville. And it's its own city. It's in Blount County, which is spelled Blount, Blount, but it's pronounced Blunt.
We're getting a pronunciation class too.
Um, we chose here because I feel like it offers that. We have all the amenities we need, but it's not big city life. It's kind of its own little cute town. It's grown a lot, and a lot of the natives are upset about the growth, but it's still, I think it's a population of 30,000 people, so it's not crazy big. It's just if anything, the infrastructure is a little surprised by it all. But
Right.
we chose here just because it's closer to the mountains. It's close to Knoxville. It has everything you need. Um, yeah, that's why we chose it. But if you're looking to be closer to Knoxville, there's other options too. So I think it just depends on what you want quick access to.
Yeah. So he says healthcare. He wants to be near healthcare and 20 minutes from the city.
Yeah, Maryville is a great option, and there's surrounding areas of Maryville, places between Maryville and Knoxville too. If you look at Louisville, um,
And that's not Louisville.
it's not Louisville. It's spelled the same, but
Right.
it's pronounced Louisville here. Um, Seymour, also another good option. These are all cities that are kind of between Maryville and Knoxville, but close enough to be able to get to like UT Medical Center in Knoxville. That's their biggest hospital. There's 4 other hospitals in downtown, so there's great access to care. Maryville has a hospital as well, so there's that. And the Knoxville airport is actually located in the city of Alcoa, which is just next to Maryville. So I could be at the airport in 15 minutes from my house.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's not
And
far.
good for people who travel a lot.
Yeah, yep. And
Mhm.
we can
And
be.
so what would a townhome so are there townhomes and then kind of what would the price range be for a townhome in those nicer neighborhoods?
Yeah, under, I'd say 350 range, 375 range. Depends on the size. If it's 1,500 square foot townhome, I'd say 375, 380, somewhere around there.
Okay. That's pretty good,
Yeah,
right? I guess. Yeah.
and those are probably going to be fairly new builds as well, so they're not going to be 70s sort of things that need all sorts of renovation. They should be fairly updated.
Yeah, because he says, who do I make the check to? But that's true because if you have older stock condos, like we're seeing that everywhere now, but especially in California, so many condos were built in the 70s and 80s. So a lot of the components, a lot of the is stuff needs to be upgraded. Nothing's been done over the years. So it's some serious money to the homeowners to chip in to update all that stuff, right?
Yep.
So it sounds like there's a lot of new condos, period, like that maybe wasn't a thing before. And maybe, I mean, what age do you think most of the condos are? Are they a certain, like, is it 2000, 1995? Like, was there a big boom in building those or?
I would say there's more since COVID, since the big ramp up in demand. There's probably been quite a bit more that's popped up.
Mm,
Because again, back before everything blew up, home ownership was attainable. Houses were 150 grand, and somebody could be a homeowner working just a pretty basic job.
mm, like earning 40, 50,000, right? You could do
Right,
that.
right. So now I think they've popped up just for the first time home buyers to be able to get their foot into home ownership. Because
Building the condos to do that, yeah.
yeah, but again, investors are scooping them up too and renting them out. So, but I don't see a demand for them as much. I see a number of them that sit on the MLS for a long time. So the
Are they
demand,
priced too high or is there's just too many?
I think I'd probably say they're priced too high because again,
Okay.
um, you can get into a house for a similar price point. An older house
Yeah.
that's probably going to need work. So that's the thing too. A newer townhouse that's like turnkey versus a single family home that's probably older and needs some work, probably in the same price point.
Okay. Yeah. So that's your typical decision, right? I had the same decision. A condo in PV for 260 or a single family home in Torrance for 260 many, many years ago. But yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
That's always the dilemma as a first, especially as a first time buyer, right?
Right. And it can be in the same neck of the woods too. That's the thing. So I mean you're comparing PV to Torrance, PV is going to be more, but here
Mm.
it could be the same general.
Neighborhood. Well,
One street will have the house, two streets over will have the townhouse, and yeah, the price.
interesting.
But you just got to pick what you're more interested in: low maintenance, or do you want to put some money into the place?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how far is Chattanooga from Merville?
It's about 2 hours.
Oh, okay. So that's not close.
Yeah,
So
straight down.
what's the closest big city to you? To Knoxville, Maryville?
It would be Chattanooga as far as big.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another area to look into that's growing quite a bit. If you look northeast on the map, a city called Morristown. Um, it's kind of like where Knoxville was a couple years ago, I feel.
Okay.
I don't really work out of that area. I pretty much service Blount and Knox County, so I'm not too specific or too in tune with the market up there, but I do know it's growing a lot.
And
And
why do you suppose that is?
I think a lot of people are probably looking for affordability, and then with that is coming demand, and with that comes opportunities and building and expansion. So you're seeing that happening right now. Lots of businesses going up, and it used to be a small town, and now it's just it was here on the map. Now it's just expanding out.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still the price points there are lower than they're going to be in the areas we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. And how far is Morrisville from Knoxville?
Morristown, it's under,
Morristown, sorry.
yeah, it's like 40 minutes.
40 minutes. So I guess that's worth the commute for affordability, right?
Yeah, just obviously depends on the situation, and rents won't be as high up there. So there's
Mm,
two. I'm not. I don't think it'll. I don't. I couldn't. I don't think anywhere out in this area will meet the 1% rule.
yeah. But it might because back to the property tax bill, it might be close, maybe in the next couple days, send me a few samples of properties that we can do numbers on just to see, okay, how far off are we, right? And then if the sample size says, yeah, you're at the eight, 0.8% rule. I mean, here we're at the 1/4% or 0.5% rule. So, if we get 0.9, 0.8, it might be worth it because you might have other plans for the property too, right? So,
I
yeah.
It all depends with how much you come into it, right? I,
Hmm.
if you got cash, it's worth
Right.
jumping into.
And you're willing to take the lower return, then yeah, sure.
Right.
Definitely. Okay. So back to this Morristown thing. So could you send us properties in Morristown too, just so we can see, or I guess
Yeah.
Google it,
I
but yeah, if you pick it, it's better.
Yeah, and I apologize to anyone that's on right now. Athena asked me to have some of this information available, and her email got lost in my inbox, and I didn't even see it until tonight when I went to open the link to get in here. So
Yeah.
it's my
Yeah,
bad.
it's too bad, but you're doing fine and we're getting the gist of it. So, it's the show and tell is always good because then you have a visual of what it looks like, but we can imagine, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So,
I did
yeah,
jot down other areas though, if we wanted
yeah,
to.
yeah, if you'd share, that'd be great.
Yeah, Crossville, Tennessee. It's west of Knoxville, about 40 minutes, or probably about an hour actually. That's another area that'll I don't want to say a lot of people move to, but it's a little more rural. Not It didn't grow quite as fast and crazy as Knoxville did, so the prices are still um, fairly low. Not
Yeah.
not high. They didn't ramp up like they did here.
And
And
how far is that from Knoxville?
It's about probably under an hour. It's just
Okay.
straight west.
Okay. And is that mostly a single family community or are there townhomes or what's the makeup of the product there?
Yeah, there'll mainly be single family homes. There may be some townhomes, but it won't be too common.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it depends on when the community was built out, right? So if there's a master plan and they want it to be a bedroom community, then that's how they're going to build it. They're not going to be putting down duplexes, right?
Right. Yeah, and a lot of this just kind of happened organically through COVID. I don't think any of these areas really foreseen the growth that was going to happen, and then
Mm-hmm.
the demand was there, and they saw the opportunity to make money, and so they kept building.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, to be fair, probably most of those little towns were like sleepy forever, and then this, earth-shattering things happens and
Yeah,
shoom, right? It's like, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
you can't
yeah.
you can't predict that.
Even Knoxville prior to COVID, I think a hundred and well, yeah, the average sale price is what 355, and if it ran up 88% since COVID, that just what's that
Yeah.
200K
That's
was
yeah, about 200,000, right? Crazy.
yep, and it was that way forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, do you have another area you want to talk about or?
Johnson City, Tennessee is another one. It's all the way up in the northeast corner of the state, so it's a good hour and some change from Knoxville. So it doesn't quite have the access to Knoxville, but I know it has its own hospital, it has its own town, it has all the amenities that you need, and it's really close to the mountains, which is
Mm,
pretty cool.
yeah.
It's
And
not.
is that part of the I guess the Smoky Mountains, I guess?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Smoky Mountains National Park is the biggest tourist attraction in the nation as far as national parks go. It's the most heavily visited in the country.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
And is Asheville close to there then, I guess?
so Asheville's on the other side of the Smoky Mountains.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. That's pretty cool. So how is the like insurance situation? Is it hard to get house insurance? Is it easy? Are the premiums skyrocketing? Like what's the insurance situation there?
Yeah, no, I've yet to hear of a situation that was difficult. It seems fairly easy, and it's affordable. I think we pay 150 a month
So
for our
1,800, and how big is your home?
size.
Yeah.
Uh, $2,650.
Okay. Because it usually goes by size. Is there a separate garage? All that kind of stuff. But 1,800 is not bad. Yeah, I mean, when people go into escrow here in California, the first the first minute, I'm like, you call your insurance agent right now because it's possible you won't get insurance.
Ugh, it's crazy. Yeah, I've yet.
So and then homeowners are seeing their premiums go, 40%, 50%, and you
Yeah,
get canceled for or non-renewed for a lot of weird reasons,
yeah.
you
No,
know.
I've heard of that craziness going on, but you don't hear that here. I've yet to hear
Okay.
from anybody.
So insurance is pretty easy, normal, easy to get
Yeah,
then. So that's
yeah.
good to know. As an investor, when we're crunching our numbers, is it going to be 3,000? I mean, there's a guy on the hill here. My insurance agent said is paying 64,000 a year for his insurance, house
Oh,
insurance, because he's on the bad side of he's by Portuguese Bend. So,
good
but what are
Lord.
you going to do? Abandon your house or just cough up the money till something gets better? I don't know. But anyway, so that's why I bring it up because so many horror stories, right?
Yeah, I mean, worst case, if you were to buy on a lake or on a river, you might need
Mm-hmm.
insurance, and that can get pricey sometimes. But outside of
Right.
pretty
But
straight.
that's situational for where the property is on the
Yeah.
water or whatever. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me see if we have any other questions. And if you have any other areas you want to talk about, I don't know if there are other small towns that are up and coming.
Let me pull up a map.
Okay. Yeah, that might help.
I wrote.
Jog your memory, right? Because I mean, I was looking at the map and there's a lot of good sized smaller towns. As investors, I always recommend you invest in a town that has at least 50,000 people, at least three different industries, right? Like, um, let's say hospitals, manufacturing, and whatever, but three different ones.
Right.
But the town could be in an MSA that's bigger. So if you're like within minutes from Knoxville, of course, then you're part of that MSA, right?
Yeah.
But if you're like 2 hours away and the town has 20,000 people, no, 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 that's not going to work, right?
Right.
You don't have
Right.
you don't have
There's
enough people to rent from you as an investor.
and there is a lot of that out here. You'll have your main areas, your kind of outside those main areas. Then outside of that, you'll have what you just said, the very low population, very rural.
Hmm. Which is fine if you want that lifestyle for yourself, but as investors, that's never going to work cash flow wise and
Right.
keeping it rented and all that kind of thing.
Right. So yeah, those areas we've mentioned so far aren't that. There's
Right.
demand. There's all that stuff.
Hmm. And what would your play be in Johnson City? Going back to that, um, would it be as a like an Airbnb? What would you say if you're an investor, why would you invest in Johnson City?
Yeah, no, that could definitely be an option. But you could also do single family. There's enough going on there to where demand is, there's infrastructure there. There's businesses there. People have moved there from out of the state. So it's another popular area. It's not been as popular as Knoxville, but uh,
Hmm.
it's another destination that people have gone to for a number of reasons that has been,
Hmm.
especially for an investment, I'd feel.
Hmm. And can I just go back to Knoxville and Maryville now? Because
Yeah.
the Airbnb thing reminded me. So, do you guys have rules against Airbnb or is it popular? Like, would that be something you would recommend doing in Knoxville or is it just not enough going on for that?
If you're in the right area, it can be a good thing. I don't know all the specifics of the rules, but I know they're not super strict. I know right here close to the Smoky Mountains, there's a lot of it, and there's a lot
Okay.
of opportunity because, like I said, it's heavily trafficked, heavily visited. So you have year-round demand with that too because we get snow here, but we get a week of it and it's gone for the season. Um,
That's fabulous.
Yeah. So
Unless
the
you like snow, that's not.
yeah, just enough to appreciate it for while it's here, and then it's gone, and it's cold for another month, and then we're back to good weather. So
Wow. I wouldn't have guessed that.
yeah, yeah. I couldn't live where it gets any colder. This is the limit for me.
Hmm.
If it got,
Right.
I couldn't do it. But that's the good thing about having that Airbnb is it's going to be popular most of the year.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
right.
yeah, especially anywhere within the Smoky Mountains National Park. You have a town that's also called Townsend, Tennessee. It's kind of it's kind of like the gateway into the Smoky Mountains. So there,
Okay.
um, as you're driving in, it's pretty much your first town. It's a small little place, but it'd be a great Airbnb destination because it's not going to be as pricey as the mountain towns as you really head up into the mountains.
Mm,
But it's still going to be close enough to where people still would visit there and stay there because it's 20 minutes
hmm.
road. You're in the thick of it.
Wow. And do you have any idea of price points for single families up there?
Yeah, so a lot of stuff up there is going to be a little older,
Like
but
cabinish or
yep,
yeah.
kind of on um, hilly topography because you're literally heading up into the mountains. So there are
Mm,
properties, but you can find them in the threes. Um,
that's
they
pretty good.
they might need a little work because they're older. If you found
Hmm.
that already had the work done, it's probably gonna be in the fours, maybe the fives.
Hmm.
But those,
Yeah, which is pretty good given that you can Airbnb it.
yeah, yeah, I feel like
Hmm.
there's opportunity there for that.
Hmm. Yeah, very cool. So I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to ask you. We touched on apartment buildings, plexes. So if you were to invest fresh right now, where would you invest? Around you, I mean. I mean, if you have another city or state, I guess, but like around you, what would you,
Are you talking about for Airbnb or for
I think just as a, you know, like a rent to retire, yeah, rent to retire, like long term.
probably honestly probably where I live in Maryville? Because I
And
feel
why do you pick that? I mean, I know you like it, but why would you pick that again?
because I feel the price points, the price that you can get in on a house that would still bring you $2,200 a month. I think for you could get a $330,000 house, $350,000 house, and easily get 22 to 2,300 a month out of it. Um, and for this area, that's probably the best you can do, I would say. And that
Because
would,
it's a good area, but with a reasonable price point.
yes, and you could
And
find one.
not too rural. I mean, I kind of saw, I remember you posting pictures when you first went to, explore Maryville, and it seemed like very cute town, really family oriented. I remember pictures of park with kids. Like it seems like that's probably like a good area for the price point, right?
Yes, and that's why I say that. And even more so, if you're right on the cusp of the city limits, you could go in the county, just right there. There's locations, there's subdivisions and homes that can be, they're not in the city, so you're paying half the property tax, but you're still close enough to where it's a desirable area to be. So I feel like something like that would probably be what I'd be going after if I was looking for another rental.
Mm-hmm. To do it again, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, good. Let me see if we have any questions. I don't see any questions.
One
Um,
thing I will add too, for investors that look to flip homes, I know that's not quite what we're talking about, but I feel like there's a lot of opportunity there as well, just because this is an old area. It's one of the first 13 colonies, so you see a lot of history here, and with that, there's a lot of old real estate. You could find stuff that's dilapidated, get it for pretty cheap, I feel, and dump some money into it and flip.
Mm-hmm.
If it's in the right area, I feel like there's a lot of potential there as well.
Well, that's a cool idea, but
Yeah.
we need a team, so we're not there.
Yeah.
So we would need a team. So do you know contractors? And I tell people, first build your team, get your realtor, get your insurance guy. If you're going to flip, get a contractor, just build your team first and then
Right.
find the property, right?
Yeah.
So do you have contractors you work with or?
I know a couple. I haven't dove into that game yet, but it's something that interests me a lot, and I would like to, but it's all just thinking of it for now.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to bring that to fruition eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. So that's a good idea. I hadn't thought of asking about that because we're pretty far away, but if the potential's there. What about foreclosures? Are you seeing a lot of foreclosures? Some areas are on the rise, and I forgot to look it up to see what the foreclosure rate is, but are you seeing any foreclosures coming on market?
A few, not a crazy amount.
Okay.
We are definitely seeing houses on the market longer, as I know that's a nationwide thing at the moment with interest rates and um, whatever else is going on. But you're also seeing prices with the houses sitting longer. You're seeing houses go for under asking price,
Okay.
more so than the last 3 years that I've been here.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be very interesting to see if we just kind of level out and everything just kind of sails straight, or if we start kind of going down some here.
Mm-hmm. Because
Um,
2022, the interest rates jumped up, right? So things kind of came to a screeching halt. And then 2023 kind of got better because people got over the shock a little bit. So
yeah,
you're saying the last 3 years, you actually have more inventory on the market and people are having to cut their prices now, kind of even more than you saw last year, or the year before.
yeah. You're seeing a lot of price reductions. You're seeing a lot of extended days on market, and you're seeing sale prices under list prices, which was not
Mm-hmm.
these last number of years. So
Mm-hmm. So that's good for investors. Sorry
yeah,
for Mr. Seller out there, but we're happy. We
yeah.
want the cheaper properties. So we had one question about like, are there any like incentives from the state to move in or buy? Sometimes the states will encourage home ownership or maybe even the city and they'll have little perks like down payment assistance or things like that. Do you know of any kind of incentives that the city or county might have?
I haven't heard of any. If there is, I just don't know of it.
Hmm. I'm pretty
Apologies.
sure you would know.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's big news usually.
yeah. I'm sure I'd hear all about that, but no, I've yet to have somebody mention that.
Hmm. Hmm. So, this might sound funny. So, being a BMX expert, rider, and real estate, what is common between those two things?
Ah. Um. So yeah, for those that don't know what she's talking about, I grew up racing BMX bikes. I did it for 30 years. I raced professionally. To this day, I still ride mountain bikes pretty regularly. It's one of my passions. I love riding bikes. It's what I do to stay healthy and stay sane. So, with that being said, the comparison being when I was racing BMX, it's not a team sport. It's you and yourself. You have no teammates. You are racing against your competitors. And that is, I've transferred that over into many aspects of my life. Just to know, like, you get what you put into it. You can, so if you're on a team, if you got a great teammate, they can carry the team and you can just ride on their coattails. But I didn't grow up with that. I grew up getting what I put into something. So with real estate, it's the same thing. You get what you put into it.
Yeah. And I see your posts on Facebook. It's kind of neat because we're getting to see the neighborhoods by seeing you work. You know what I mean? Like we're getting
Yeah.
a feel for it. And I see you're training your newest assistant there, which is wonderful. Is he 4 now or?
Yeah. He just turned 4.
Yep.
Yep. Helped me mow the yard and put our sign up the other day. And
Awesome.
yep.
Because you're teaching what you were just talking about, right? You're teaching your son the same deal. If you want
Yeah.
to get it done, you got to do it yourself. course,
And
you can always ask for help, but yeah, you got to be driven. So
yeah,
that is awesome.
lead by example.
Yep, for sure. Well, good. I think we answered all the questions. So, um, I'll give you guys a chance to ask anything else, but we're coming to the end of our time. And I'm so grateful you took time, Mike, because I know it's late out there. And I wanted people to meet you and for them to have the opportunity to know that Knoxville is a whole thing. And maybe you missed out on Nashville or you feel like you missed out on another growth opportunity. And this, I still think, is a growth opportunity. I know prices have gone up and um, that's upsetting to some people, but I think that city, I mean, if I read what I read was correct, Knoxville went, MSA went from 916,000 to 984,000 in the last 5 years. Well,
Wow.
2020. So that's whatever it is, 70,000, 90,000, whatever that is. So I think there's still a growth play, and you gave us some great cities to look into. Um, and yeah, so if you could follow up with some properties and ideas that we can share with the with the people who came tonight, then we can get people inspired and reach out to you. I
Yeah.
do have a new question here. So someone wants to know, is there an equine kind of community? Because I know horses are big in Tennessee, period, right? So is there a kind of an equine community near Knoxville, and what would those asking prices be?
So you're not going to see so much like community centered sort of things like that. You're just going to see someone that owns an acre of land and they have horses. Like, it's hard to explain if you don't see it, but it's not like you're not going to see as many. It's not like a subdivision of horse properties. Those aren't really a
So it's
thing.
not like they have to be zoned that way. They
Right.
probably
Yeah.
have a
As long
minimum acreage, but it's not a neighborhood that said, okay, we will allow da 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 da.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the general rule of thumb is if it's not within the city limits and you're not in a subdivision that has like a HOA with restrictions, you can do whatever the heck you want. You can have horses. You can do all those things unless it's
Mhm.
restrictions that you can't.
Right,
So again, if you were to look for something like that, look for something that's not in the city. Look for something that's not in an HOA.
right. And I think as far as communities, I would probably look it up online, like look for horse communities, because they probably do have an area where they go and race their horses or have their own community thing. Maybe it's, some kind of association or club or what, there's probably something like that. But you're saying that the owners they have their horses on their own property.
Yeah, and you see like facilities that house horses for people that don't live in areas like that. They might live in an area where they can't have a horse or don't have room for the horse.
Mm-hmm.
Someone with acreage that can board them will do that for them. But
Right.
a lot of people that own horses have the property and the lack of restrictions that allow them to do it. And that's going to be pretty common if you're not within the city limit. So to point out one area or one neighborhood would be tough because
Right.
it's very vast if you're outside the city.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Okay, well, we're come to the end of our time here. If people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can reach me by cell. That's probably the best way. My number is 865-233-8609. Um, you
What
can,
area code is that? 865.
that's Knoxville area code.
You not only changed the plates, but you changed That's
I
fabulous.
still have my 310 as my personal. That's just my
Right.
business.
Okay, got it. Do
Yeah.
you want to repeat that? Go ahead and repeat your number again. I'm sorry.
Yeah. 865-233-8609. And I could answer any specific questions. I apologize again. I did not come as prepared as I should have tonight. I didn't know we were
That's
going
okay. It was a
to.
great conversation.
We want to talk about anything real estate. Your specific questions we can take a dive into, and I'm an expert in the area, so I can definitely answer your questions if you reach out. Email as well, weatherford.mike@gmail.com. Weatherford, just like the weather outside, FORD.mike@gmail.
Great. Well, thank you, Mike. Thanks for your time and your expertise and sharing all these different areas so we could get a good feel. And yeah, we look forward to seeing some properties and diving in. And yeah, everybody just reach out to him if you want to, have a more personal conversation about your goals and what you want to do as far as rent to retire or pure investment. So thank you. And just a reminder, next week we have Nathan Turner. He's a note expert. So a note is a mortgage. So he buys mortgages at a discount and gets cash flow. So he doesn't own the property, he owns the mortgage on the property. So he'll be next Wednesday at 6 p.m. So until then, thank you everyone. And thank you again, Mike. I really appreciate you coming. And
All
it's
right.
great to see your progress. It's just always amazing.
I appreciate it. Thanks again for having me, Athena.
Oh, for sure. Say hi to the fam. Bye.
Will do. Take care.
Bye.